Welcome back everyone to Funny Plays the Burglar, and we are back here in the Chamber of Crossroads with Bosie, and I'm sure that he is going to be ecstatic that we had just had a great victory against the White Hand and Red Horn Loads.
My reading has confirmed my suspicions, friend. We are in great danger.
Then again, maybe he's not going to be ecstatic. You thought to bring me joy with the news of my son Petronella, and I am sorry that it does not. I know this Mazog of whom you speak, for it is a name I have heard, and recently. The White Hand is not the greatest threat to the dwarves inside Moria, my friend. Asfar was telling you the truth. We are in grave danger. Now, I find it interesting that at some point the dialogue at the end of the instance that we just did was changed, because here Bosie is making the assumption that you heard the name Mazog during the course of that instance. But I'm always forgetting where that point was, because I've been looking for it the last few times I've did it, and I've always missed it. Certainly couldn't have been Asfar, because he says I'm not the only power here, which of course this does cover. I would think he would say that he's not the only power, right? The real power is Mazog, or something like that perhaps.
I will tell you what I have learned from the book of Marsabul, but it is grim indeed.
Yes, but I hope that revealing the truth of thou Balin's company will prevent this dire fate from befalling us as well. Speak to me when you're ready, and hear the tale of that company. Let us hear why they were unable to get out.
Alas, that Balin, son of Fundin, believed he could reclaim Moria but with a small force. As the Company of the Ring learned, the number of the orcs and the might of Durin's Bane could not easily be turned aside.
Hello there, Frar. Captain Ori, you have arrived at last. I feared we would be overwhelmed before you arrived, but with your strength we may yet push back the orcs. Oh, that Balin were still alive. We have need of his leadership against the hordes of orcs that must move with one mind, or we will not survive the fall this evening. I was cut off from Looney and Nolly during the last attack. We must join them on the far end of the bridge, but many orcs have crawled up from the pit and stand between here and there. We must defeat them before yet more arrive. Alright, I suppose so. Let me just finish. It'd be nice if the custom layouts that you choose could survive across session plays. Oh well. Let's go. Ori, this way! We'll rejoin Loney and Nolly on the far side of the bridge. Barukazan! Or at least, maybe with any particular character that you play, seeing how often we have done this particular instance. Every single time we have a character that goes through Moria, I am doing this thing. Since this is a mandatory instance play, if you wish to unlock the Moria skirmishes. This is a little headbutt there. Trying to see how quickly I can get through here. I could rip through them as Ori. Oh no, I guess it must be one of these. Alright. Now, Ori, of course, is one who is known to have been in the company of Balin, because when they find the Ring of Mazarbul in the 21st, well, I guess in the near the 21st Hall, and obviously in the Chamber of Mazarbul, where we eventually found it, when Gandalf and Gimli find it, then at that point they of course do their little bit of reading in, and the last entry, I believe, is done by Ori, which is probably why, because they know that Ori is one of the last ones to die, so therefore we take on the role of Ori. Were we wrong to come back to Khazad-dûm, Captain? With Balin slain, this endeavor seems ready to fall. The orcs are too many. No. We will stand. I will die a dwarf. Let none call Looney a coward. And what do you say about that? Things are not well, Captain. There is no end to the creatures. For every orc we cleave, 2 more spring from the darkness. Still, we are the dwarves of Khazad-dûm. We will not let these orcs drive us from the halls in which we have lived for so many years. Alright, what do you say, Frar? We are decided then? One last glorious stand against the orcs? I weep that none will sing of it, Captain Ori, but I am glad that I have such an honorable and dependable dwarves by my side for its making. For Balin! For Khazad-dûm! And the glory of the dwarves! Baruch Hazad! We will slay as many orcs as we can. Alright, there we go. And how many can we slay? There you go. There's a few more. Now, of course, that bridge we crossed is the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, which is very significant in the novels, of course. And it's good to be able to see it intact, since when we run by it later in the game, it will be in a slightly less intact state, shall we say? Yes, a lot of the chambers, of course, that they implemented in the game and have in here, of course, are ones that are specifically mentioned in the books. They had to make up a few places, especially down in the Foundations of Stone. Well, they mentioned the Foundations of Stone, of course. All you know is they don't give too many details. Of course, you got this in the stair. They do mention, of course, but many of the other places. What do you know about them? Because the entire point of it is that not even Gandalf knows too much of what is down there. So that's what they do, is that if they know what's in an area, they often make sure they implement it. And if it's something that is not mentioned in any way, and there's too little information about it, then they fill in the details with, alright, what would be there if you go over this little hill here where they were trying to avoid? Who were they trying to avoid seeing them? That type of stuff. As you can see, we ran into orcs a lot bit more, but I presume the Company of the Ring did stir things up a little bit. Yeah, alright. I just like having them all fly away like that. There you go. Alright, and now these guys. It'd be nice if I could remember to turn on Fire Under the Mountain, because it's a toggle skill that remains in effect as long as you remain in combat. So of course, if I started that earlier, because you stay in combat for a pretty long time there, so keeping that on all the way through would be nice. Let's see, and this skill can only be executed during combat when you have greater than 20% morale. It can only be maintained if your morale does not drop below 20%. Could executed during combat, and of course the whole thing is that as long as you stay in combat, don't see it on the tooltip, it stays on. Of course, if you're in a brief combat, it's not worth doing that because you've got this 2-minute cooldown on it. And this is the only place where I actually remember ever seeing this skill. I can't remember it being anywhere else. There might be an equivalent skill for somebody in the game there that I just haven't thought of. That's always possible. Perhaps because there are a lot of things on the champion tree, for example, I certainly don't know. But likely with a different name, if that is the case. Next! See, we're doing a cleaving through these orcs. We are going to reach the... We're getting close to the exit here. We're near the end there. Into the first hall, where I'm sure that we can reach the door, the exit, and all that stuff. Right? Nothing to it. Right, Friar? I do not like this, Captain. Some shadow lies ahead. See how many tens tremble, and I have never quailed for any foe. A great evil waits down the passage, worse than all the evils I have seen this day. I do not think we can face this thing. We must retreat. We must fall back. We must escape across the bridge. Oh, how bad can it be? A Balrog! Yeah, that's how bad it can be. Yep, Balrog. Let me go. Whee! Well then. Looks like today the Balrog is on. The Balrog must get around all over the place if it's on today on this side of the bridge. And get off the company, of course. Run into it near the chamber of Miserable. And it eventually chases them, though, of course, to here. So it is quite associated with this bridge right over here. Oh boy, the stone trees look really nice when you come in through them from this direction. Since, of course, in the main part of the game, you wouldn't approach them from here. You'd have to approach the... Well, okay, this part of the bridge will exist, but you've got those arches in the way. Right over there. We have to get out of here, Captain. We must retreat to the 21st Hall and hope we can hold them there. Yeah, like that's going to be successful. You know how big the 21st Hall is. Ah, the 21st Hall. I was not certain you would still be alive, Captain Ori, but I rejoice to see you. I wanted you here for our last defense. We are still waiting for word from the scouts to the west, but so far there has been nothing. And now the orcs have taken the bridge and the second hall and close in our position on all sides. We are certain to follow Frar and Lori and Nali, my captain, even if we hold out for a little while. As you can see, Frar doesn't make it this far, despite the fact that he was with us when we crossed the bridge. Hark! Who is that? Is that one of the scouts? All right. It is! He has returned from the west gate. All right. And if we can't leave to the east, well then we'll have to retreat to the west, right? How's it at the west gate? Yeah. My captain, I bring sad news. The pool has come all the way up to the wall on the west gate. There is no hope of escaping that way. Noble Owen's mission has ended, and in failure. In surprise he was taken by the Watcher of the Water, and the weapon he bore availed him naught. The surrounding halls are filling with orcs, Captain. It was all I could do to make it back here, but it has been for nothing. Note there, the weapon he held availed him not. So therefore, he had a mighty weapon, but that weapon didn't help him against the Watcher of the Water. So the Watcher, of course, surprised them, so he didn't have a chance to use the weapon against it. What can I do? It is hopeless. There must be something we can do, right, Captain? So you can imagine we have this great legendary weapon that we had in order to get by the Watcher, and if it surprised us and took us before we could use it, what can we do, Captain? We have no hope to standing against them here in this hall. They'll overwhelm us with the vast numbers. Yes, you're right, Captain. We will retreat to the chamber of Miserable and make what stand we may. There we may last long enough to make them feel the sting of our axes and hearken our battle cries. To the chamber of Miserable! That is where we will make our stand. All right. To the chamber of Miserable, which of course is going to be a little more intact than the version that we saw earlier. Since obviously this takes place years and years earlier, so you can see the chamber there, you can see the bar door there. Actually, let's have a nice look at this. Alright, you can't go the rest of the way, so you can't go around exploring probably the 16th halls that way or something like that. But a lot of this, of course, will look familiar because I went through all the riddles there earlier. Right, we've arrived. Now that it comes down to it, Captain, I grieve that our return to Moria has been so brief and so full of sorrow. Was Balin wrong to lead us here, and to expect that whatever curse lay upon these halls has been lifted? It is too late now to ask such things, but I would not have this hopeful journey come to such an end, to be forgotten forever, to come to nothing. Captain Ori, I beg you, finish writing our account in the book where such things are recorded. There it is, on the tomb we erected for Lord Balin. It was begun by others, but I would have you finish it. I do not want our fate to be forgotten. Finish the book of Miserable, Captain Ori. I would not have us forgotten. And of course, this is the book that Bosie has been reading lately, and has read of our ending there. There you go. And done. And now we're in combat. Moria! Or Plaza Doom, more likely, I would say. And since Moria, who knows when the elves started calling it Moria, considering it means Black Pit. It's certainly a name that was prophetic if the elves started calling that pretty early. Obviously, they meant it a little bit less literally if they had always been calling it that, meaning it was a black pit because there you go. Now let's take care. Actually, I probably shouldn't have disturbed him. I should probably just have killed this skirmisher first. Instead of waking this one up. Oh, we've got a bit of a problem here. Back to the chamber of Mazarbul. And where my fank? You are stubborn, maggot beard. But I, Mazog, will send you back to your maker. Alright, very well, if you say so. We shall see. There you go. And now let's take care of these folk. Mazog. So this is your real introduction to Mazog. Now Mazog only appears in the epic. He's referenced all the way through. In fact, he starts to get referenced well before. He's first referenced by them all over the place. So in the epic, it sounds like they never heard of the name Mazog until you get to this point. Oh well, one of those little things that you have that's always a little bit off when you look at the epic versus the regular story. Alright, let's take care of this. See how long we can last against these guys. We got these trolls here. Now this used to be a lot of trouble surviving this part. I presume that the developers eventually decided, alright, they're the last one alive, they bring in great forces. Do you really have to last for 5 minutes, or at least it felt like 5 minutes, of all these pounding on you before you're saying you completed the instance when the story has been made, the point has been made, and you're going to eventually die anyway? Well, we managed to, I'm not going to say survive, since Ori dies in the end there, obviously. But we have learned what we can of what happened in the Chamber of Mazarbul. Yet what will we do next? We'll have to see that in the next episode of Piney Plays The Burglar.